Hey, movie aficionados! Today, we're breaking down the bone-chilling thriller, Walled In. The movie kicks off with a young girl in a tight spot, literally stuck between walls. But that's not all. Cement starts raining down on her from every angle, sealing her fate as she's buried alive. Fast forward 15 years. Meet Sam, a fresh college graduate and aspiring engineer. Her dad, who runs a demolition business, hands her a unique gift at her graduation bash. A job overseeing the demolition of a mysterious building in the middle of nowhere. If she nails this task, she'll become her dad's partner. But this colossal architectural wonder, an apartment complex, was designed by the quirky architect Joseph Malestrazza, who had a thing for Egyptian style. As Sam arrives at the Malestrazza building, she's welcomed by Mary, the caretaker, who lives there with her loner son Jimmy. Sam's told she'll be crashing in one of the apartments, but there's a catch. No 8th floor access, and the rooftops are no-go due to danger. As she heads to her room, she spots a door with Julie's room written on it. She steps into her own room and promptly takes a refreshing bath. Later that day, she crosses paths with Mary and inquires about the apartment's current residents. Mary discloses that only 4 folks remain, with herself and Jimmy looking after the place until its demolition. All the other tenants have been evicted, but 2 stubborn souls have held their ground. The following day, Sam gears up to assess the building's structural integrity. Her mission: calculate the exact amount of TNT required to bring it down. She's tasked with identifying the optimal weak points and selecting the right explosives. A few hours pass, and she ventures to a nearby mini-market to grab some grub and drinks. Out of curiosity, she borrows a computer to delve into the building's history. What she uncovers is chilling. In 1993, a gruesome series of disappearances unfolded. When the victims were eventually located, the horror was unimaginable. 16 souls, men, women, and children, were entombed in tiny spaces within the building and then encased in liquid concrete. Shockingly, the architect himself, Malestrazza, was among the victims. Initially, a construction worker was blamed, only to be later proven innocent, leaving the crimes unsolved. Back at the building, Sam marks the optimal demolition points, but her plans take an unexpected turn as a man wielding an axe charges toward her. Turns out, this man is one of the stubborn tenants who refuse to vacate. He's deeply upset by the impending demolition of the building. When night falls, Jimmy covertly escorts Sam to the 8th floor, the off-limits domain. Here, Jimmy shares the chilling tale of Malestrazza, the architect who met his demise within these walls. He takes her into a room and points out the very wall where Malestrazza's lifeless body was discovered. The cement had ravaged his face beyond recognition, and it was Mary who ultimately identified him. Jimmy also divulges that among the 16 victims, there was a young child named Julie, the same child glimpsed at the film's outset. Julie had resided in the room Sam had earlier come across. Adding to the grim revelation, Jimmy discloses that his father was one of the unfortunate victims and guides her to the spot where his father's remains were found. In a twist of fate, the lights abruptly vanish and Jimmy runs away, and Sam sustains a leg injury in her panicked confusion. She is afraid in the dark and gloomy area, but Jimmy finally comes to her rescue. Jimmy aids in tending to her wound, but his intentions become clear as he begins to caress her thigh. Sam swiftly rebuffs his advances. Later at night, as Sam gazes into a mirror, the glass behind her starts shaking violently. She raises the mirror and is met with a horrifying sight: blood oozing from a hole. In an instant, Sam is forcefully drawn into the wall, only to awaken and realize that she is trapped between walls. Cement pours in from all sides, leaving her with no escape. As her screams erupt, she awakens, realizing it was all a nightmare. Unable to return to slumber, Sam roams her apartment, restless. Suddenly, a startling presence materializes before her. To her surprise, it's her boyfriend Peter, aiming to spring a surprise on her. Sam excitedly guides Peter on a tour of the apartment, culminating in a covert expedition to the 8th floor. Amid their exploration, an astonishing discovery awaits them: a concealed passage right there on the floor. Sam ventures down this path and stumbles upon a clandestine chamber. This room covertly grants access to peer into any of the apartments. It dawns on Sam that Jimmy has been spying on her. She later reaches to the other end, which leads to the room where trash is being kept. There, she is discovered by Mary. She addresses the spying matter with Mary, causing Jimmy to retreat, overcome with embarrassment. Later that evening, Peter suggests that Sam should leave the next day, a proposition she readily agrees to. Sam proceeds to pack her belongings for departure while concurrently preparing a report detailing the required TNT for the building's demolition. As their paths briefly intertwine one last time, Jimmy extends a heartfelt apology to Sam for his intrusive actions. He further bestows a parting gift upon her, a copy of Malestrazza's journal, the architect behind the enigmatic structure. Sam, upon perusing the journal, becomes privy to a crucial revelation. There exists a substantial concealed space within the heart of the building. She asks Jimmy for the rooftop access. With newfound purpose, Jimmy ascends to the rooftop, embarking on a quest to unearth an entry point into this hidden realm. However, his return is delayed, leaving Sam and her boyfriend with growing concern. Determined to find Jimmy, they embark on a search within the building's depths. This leads them to an astonishing discovery: a colossal shaft situated at the building's core. From its depths, they hear Jimmy's cries for help, revealing that he's injured and in distress. Without hesitation, Sam's boyfriend lowers Sam into the shaft using a sturdy rope. Initially, the descent proceeds without a hitch, but suddenly, an unknown assailant strikes, wounding Peter with a sharp object. Helplessly, Peter succumbs to his injuries with his blood dropping over Sam's face, leaving her in a state of terror. As if the ordeal couldn't get any more unsettling, Sam plummets to the bottom of the shaft, where she regains consciousness after a few moments. To her astonishment, she's not alone in this ominous abyss. A mysterious figure stands nearby. It's Malestrazza, the architect she believed died, being entombed within a wall. It becomes clear that he's been imprisoned here all along. Malestrazza clutches a radio, and through it, Sam hears Jimmy's voice pleading for help. It dawns on her that the voice she heard earlier was pre-recorded by Jimmy himself. Moments later, a letter from Jimmy descends from above, revealing his intentions to keep Sam captive until she learns to love him. Subsequently, Jimmy takes a devious turn of action. He dispatches Sam's demolition report to her father and cunningly submerges her car in a lake. All this is part of an elaborate ruse to create the illusion that Sam is absent because she's off on vacation with her boyfriend. Meanwhile, deep within the shadowy depths of the shaft, Malestrazza unveils a shocking revelation that leaves Sam dumbfounded. He confesses to being the mastermind behind the gruesome murders of the 16 individuals whose remains were discovered entombed within the building's walls. Malestrazza asserts that the key to the enduring longevity of ancient Egyptian monuments lay in macabre construction rituals, involving the entombment of living victims within the walls. He too sought immortality for his creations by sealing people alive within his structures. Furthermore, he discloses that one of the victims was none other than Mary's husband. As an act of vengeance, Mary consigned Malestrazza to perpetual captivity within the shaft. She cunningly deceived everyone by misidentifying another victim's body as Malestrazza's, perpetuating the belief in his demise while keeping him as her secret prisoner. Meanwhile, Jimmy returns to their underground confines, sending down a cassette tape. Malestrazza plays it, revealing Jimmy's unsettling demand. He wants to witness Sam and Malestrazza dance together. Malestrazza advises Sam to heed Jimmy's instructions, as Jimmy can be either benign or exceedingly cruel and imaginative if disobeyed. Reluctantly, Sam acquiesces to the bizarre command. Jimmy then demands they kiss, but Sam refuses to do it. Malestrazza then forcibly kisses her. However, after a fleeting moment, Jimmy abruptly terminates their dance and issues a menacing threat to Malestrazza, cautioning him against any further contact with Sam. In an attempt to reward their compliance, Jimmy lowers a basket filled with provisions, including food, water, and a two-way radio. He urges Sam to keep the radio close, emphasizing their need for proximity. Later that night, Mary ascends to the roof, only to be met with Sam's frantic screams, pleading for her assistance. Mary is taken aback to discover Sam alongside Malestrazza in the pit. Furious, Mary berates Jimmy, asserting that the hole was intended solely for the architect and not for anyone else. Realizing the gravity of the situation, she forces Sam to remain with Malestrazza under the threat of reporting the incident to the authorities, a move that could result in her removal from Jimmy's care, rendering him an orphan. Meanwhile, in the afternoon, Sam's father and his demolition crew, having received Sam's report, arrive at the apartment. They initiate the setup of explosives. Back in the dark confines, Sam remains trapped alongside Malestrazza. She continues her attempts to win over Jimmy in hopes of securing her release before the impending explosion, but her efforts prove futile. Witnessing her futile endeavors, Malestrazza advises her to conserve her energy. She gets angry and breaks the two-way radio. Furious, Malestrazza hits her on the head, rendering her unconscious. Moments later, she regains consciousness and discovers that she has been tied with ropes. She sees Malestrazza construct a tomb, equipped with multiple pipes connected to a cement reservoir. He holds the belief that by burying an additional person alive, the building will withstand the impending demolition. Sam realizes that she needs to save her life at any cost. Her efforts succeed as she manages to get rid of the ropes. She takes a sharp iron rod and threatens to kill him. However, he volunteers to be the one buried alive to save the structure. He implores Sam to end his life, and after some hesitancy, she complies. As he descends into his tomb, gratitude fills his final words before the cement begins to fill the chamber. Meanwhile, outside the building, Mary maintains her composure, comforting Jimmy as they oversee the placement and activation of the explosives. Jimmy, however, begins to realize his mistake and stops the explosion seconds before. He runs to the confines and everyone follows him. Sam's dad is shocked to see Sam trapped inside. As the shaft opens, Sam sees light before fainting again. Guilt-stricken, Jimmy jumps into the shaft and apologizes to her. The rescue team then arrives to save Sam. Mary faces arrest due to her connection with Malestrazza's abduction. In the movie's closing moments, Sam reveals that Malestrazza crafted a total of 27 structures, all of which continue to endure. However, he regarded this apartment building as his crowning achievement and vehemently opposed its demolition. In an ultimate act of dedication, he sacrificed himself to safeguard it. As a poignant tribute to his memory, the building will remain untouched by demolition, preserving it as a lasting testament to his legacy. And thus the movie concludes.